Hello, and welcome to the session on driving API adoption. So, today, as the name suggests, we are going to talk about how do you really drive adoption for your public APIs. And we are going to also look at how Postman with the public API network can really help you drive adoption for your public APIs, helping you reach a community of more than 13 million developers. So, jumping onto the agenda, we are going to first talk about why you should care about adoption for your public APIs. Then we are going to look at a couple of key challenges that really hold publishers back and make it difficult for publishers to drive API adoption. Then we are going to look at how the Postman API network, along with public workspaces, can really help you level up your API adoption game and drive adoption for your APIs. Then we are going to look at how you really do that with a quick demo, followed, and we'll end things up with 5 tips to help you drive adoption for your public APIs by 10x. A little bit about me. I'm Avinash. I'm an engineering manager here at Postman, and I work with the API Network squad. I love food and technology, and I love talking about both. So feel free to hit me up on Twitter. You can also check out my public profile on Postman or on the linked slide. So why care about adoption for your public APIs? Why care about for this talk in general? Well, APIs, unlike diamonds, are only valuable if they are used. And we have seen that driving adoption for a public APIs not only would help your public APIs succeed, but as in the case of API first businesses like Twilio and Stripe, really caring about adoption can also help your business succeed. What we have seen with such companies is when they invest a lot of time and effort in caring about the developer experience around your APIs and caring about how your APIs are being adopted, that can really be a source of competitive advantage for your business and for your APIs to succeed. This trend has continued as we see the decision to use our API moving from being a purely business decision to more of a technical decision. And we see a lot of end users, developers kind of deciding what APIs to use and integrate with. And hence they become the final decision makers. And that's where caring about the developer experience becomes even more important to drive API adoption. That's all good, but publishers generally struggle driving adoption for their APIs. And we have seen 4 key challenges around this. One, publishers don't really know what they need to do to drive API adoption. It's not like your traditional marketing where you have well-defined playbooks you can follow. And it's a lot of unknowns that publishers have to go through to kind of drive adoption for their APIs. Second, driving adoption has traditionally been super expensive. So as a publisher, you need to invest time. You need to create dedicated marketing teams. You need to have dedicated development teams to support your API onboarding infrastructure. And the cost of all that really adds up, which makes it generally prohibitively expensive to effectively drive adoption for your APIs. On the consumption side, we see that consumers generally lack a feedback loop and a way to interact with publishers. So they have no way to get in touch with a publisher when they don't understand something or when they want to learn more about something or when they generally have feedback. Moreover, just knowing about a public API doesn't help the consumer much. And they really need to learn about the API and invest a lot of time in terms of really realizing value from public APIs. And this long time to realizing value out of APIs deters consumption and adoption for public APIs a lot. Well, that's all tough. But don't worry, Postman is here to help. Postman API Network kind of helps you circumvent a lot of those pain points. And how it does that is because first, it's easy. It's Postman API Network and public workspaces just involve workflows that you are used to. And Postman users, be it publishers or consumers, are super used to in general. So public workspaces work like any other workspace, and collections allow you to create learning experiences for APIs. Moreover, the Postman public workspaces are really close to your community. Having a public workspace puts you 2 clicks away from your target audience using the Postman universal search that we'll see in the demo that follows. With comments built in, public workspaces handle the problem of the lack of two-way communication loops between publishers and consumers. And they provide you a mechanism to really interact with your consumers and learn from them and help them out using your APIs. And we'll see that public workspaces go much more beyond this. And collections in a public workspace help you create quick wins for your consumers and really rich experience for your consumers that help drive interest and excitement around your public APIs, and which eventually drive adoption for your public APIs. So let's jump right into the demo now. So we have a demo public workspace already created, but we are gonna create a new one just to go over the flow of creating a public workspace really quick as well. So how you create a public workspace is you first log on to your Postman account and you click on the workspaces dropdown and just create a new workspace. All you need to do is set the visibility to public and type in a name. Hit create workspace. That's it. It's that easy. With 2 clicks, you essentially have a public workspace, and which acts as a place for your consumers to kind of come in and learn about your API. It's also available on a public URL, which you can share with anyone and just get traffic onto your workspace. But an empty workspace is not really super helpful. So we are going to add a public API here. We're just going to head over to the API tab and hit create an API. So for this demo, I'm importing API spec that I got from Twilio. And once I import that API, that's available within my public workspace along with the schema for anyone to come in and have a look at my public API. And this gets all the features of public workspaces built in. So anyone can come in on this workspace, on this API, and watch this API and get notified about changes. They can actually drop in comment anywhere on the API to kind of engage with the workspace. To make your workspace even more helpful, you can actually go ahead and add in reference documentation for your APIs. And that can just be created directly from the schema, which makes sure that your documentation is in line with the source of truth around your schemas. This documentation is also visible on the collections tab inside a public workspace. So people can jump right onto the documentation collection if they want to just quickly learn about what endpoints are available on this API and what they can do with this API. So let's head back over to the Twilio demo workspace that we created earlier. So every public workspace comes with an overview section, which you can use to kind of communicate the value of your workspace and your API to your prospective consumers. So the idea is when someone lands on your public workspace, you can actually communicate the value of your API like Twilio has done here by highlighting the fact that developers can use Twilio APIs to add robust messaging capabilities in your applications. And the fact that you can get started with the API in 5 minutes. Followed by that, you can add further points to kind of help more seasoned consumers learn more about your API and discover your API spec or interact with other places or other things in your public workspace. But the getting started collection, sounds really interesting uh, because it just says you can start off with this API in 5 minutes. So for now, I'm gonna just click on that, and boom. So you start on a getting started collection, um, which we have set up to help developers, new developers, kind of get started with the Twilio API by sending in their first message within 5 minutes in 3 easy steps. So the idea is any consumer can kind of come in here, look at the getting started documentation, and hit 4 can get started with this API really quick. And uh, this really helps cut down the time to wow for consumers for your APIs and makes it likely that they are going to really spend in more time to kind of learn about your API and how it can help them. So for example, the getting started collection here allows consumers to open the send request and actually send the first Twilio message in a couple of clicks, which I did that right now. And I have uh, my first Twilio message delivered to my phone. Uh, Once I'm done with that, I can also go over and explore another endpoint that this API has to offer within the getting started collection, which kind of gives me an audit of all messages I have sent to date using this phone number. So experiences and quick wins like this really make it more likely that developers or consumers like learn about your API better and faster. And it also makes it more likely that they kind of taken the time to look at other documentation or uh, other things that your API can enable for them. So heading back to the overview, we have linked a couple of next steps for users when they are done with their first message, where they can head on to kind of learn more about the API. The interesting thing about public workspaces is you can add even more collections to kind of fulfill other workflows. So this could be collections that inspire users that come into your workspace, or these could be collections for common workflows or integrations using your API that help developers cut short their development cycle in terms of integrating your API to their own applications. Finally, you can also use public workspaces to indicate your API health and your API performance right here within Postman using Postman monitors, where consumers can kind of head on to and look at how your API is performing and develop that level of confidence on your APIs before they get on to consumption. Another interesting thing about this workspace is the contributors collection. which is more of a relatively advanced use case. But the idea is any user on the Postman ecosystem can basically come into your workspace and fork the contribution collection and actually contribute back to your workspace and help you and other developers using your API to kind of speed up their workflows. And yeah, that's about the demo. Let's head back over to the final bit about 5 tips to help you drive 10x adoption and get the most out of your public workspaces. So the first one is the most obvious one, but interestingly, we tend to miss this, is name your APIs well. The idea is to use the name and summary for your APIs to provide enough context for your consumers to make a choice about using that API. And a pro tip here too is also to use categories to make it easier for your target consumers to find your APIs within the Postman network and also from search. Um, the next point, which comes up as a main pain point for a lot of public APIs, is good public API documentation. And that's where Postman really shines, as we saw on the demo. The idea is you want to keep your API documentation updated. You want to keep it complete. We also have a really good article about good API documentation linked here that you can refer to later. A pro tip around documentation is to talk about workflows that or the value that your API can deliver for your end users, and not just uh, plainly talk about the endpoints that exist and what they do. Another pro tip around documentation is, since all this is public documentation, it's searchable not only within Postman, but also through other search engines. So a good idea is to research your keywords in terms of what a consumer may be looking for when they are trying to find your API, and make sure to include those keywords within your documentation and within your public workspace. The third point is teach, don't tell. And I really like this bit about public workspaces. As we saw in the Getting Started collection demo, um, public workspaces really help you create learning experiences for your APIs. And we know that developers love learning by doing. And that's the best way to learn, actually. Well, I believe so. And with public workspaces, you can actually create these learning experiences through collections. And you can work with the community to kind of improve and add more capabilities and learning experiences incrementally. I've linked one such collection in the slides, and we have a lot more on the Explore section and public workspaces that are already created by the community that you can check out right after this talk. The final 2 tips are about being there where your community is and being there for your community. So the idea is you want to engage with your community. For example, you want to stay active within your public workspace, encouraging people to add comments, replying to those comments, and getting feedback and answering questions through comments. But you also want to be there at other places where your community is. And for example, try answering questions on Quora, try answering questions on Stack Overflow. Um, uh, look at use cases where developers are stuck and your API can help, and link your public workspace there. You could also try writing blog posts and sharing it on platforms like Twitter. like Salesforce did for their own public workspace. Uh, we have thousands of teams already on the network sharing their APIs and driving adoption through public workspaces. And this is a really great way to kind of um, look at the community and learn from the community to kind of improve your own API adoption game. Uh, we also have a couple of uh, success stories with public workspaces with our partners. Uh, and as next steps, I would like you to drop by the demo workspace that we created in this session. And I'll also urge you to check out more public workspaces on the Postman Explore section, which I'll keep an eye on to see your public workspace featured there. If you want to learn more about public workspaces, please feel free to ping me, ping any of us in Postman, or head over to our learning center to learn more. Thank you.